What's going on, everybody? I'm Sherlock, and I'm your host at Business Mastery Show. It's the show with business ideals and their strategies. And today we are joined by Iman Aghay, serial entrepreneur, founder of Success Road Academy. Iman, thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Sherlock, for having me here.
Thanks, man. So let's get started. My first question is, it would be great if you could give us an introduction of yourself and your business. What do you do?
Well, I'm a serial entrepreneur, as you mentioned. I have multiple businesses, and my main focus is on a company called Success Road Academy, which is a coaching academy for coaches, consultants, authors, and speakers. And we help them to create and launch their online courses and build an entire business online, and to be able to share the knowledge and message with more people in the world.
That's brilliant. So my questions are mainly about you and your experiences. So let's get started at the very beginning of the line. Do you remember when and why you started this field of work?
Well, it was a progression that happened over many, many years. But first time in my life, I ended up on the stage, was very random, very accidental. I was working with a university. I was working with them as a marketing consultant, and I had planned for them to deliver a seminar and then from there invite people to buy their MBA program. And half an hour before the seminar, I went to them to see if they were ready for their talk. And they said, "Oh, we thought you were doing the talk." And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing the talk. You are doing the talk." And anyhow, the conversation went to, "Okay, so here's the thing. Either you do the talk or we don't have a speaker." And I'm like, "But I'm not a speaker." So long story short, at age 23, I was randomly pushed on the stage, and they said, "Okay, you're getting on this stage in front of 80 people, and you gotta make money, or you're just gonna be fired." So I got in front of people, I delivered the talk, and we did really well that night. We got a lot of students sign up, and after I came down the stage, I realized, you know what, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But then had never thought about that before. So as I started looking more and more at this, I was looking at people like Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Oprah. I was thinking, well, you know what, this is super amazing that these people are always on the stage, they're making an impact in people's lives, they're changing the world. And all of them have successful businesses for themselves. And I said, I really want to be able to do this. I want to become an international professional public speaker. And this is back in 2007, 2008. So my wife and I decided to move to Canada, and so I can become an international public speaker. I was living in Iran. I couldn't speak English properly. So we moved to Canada in 2009, and kind of like that whole rest of the story continued from there. But that's how I started being on that journey of building the academy that I built today.
That's amazing. I actually knew some of your story, but this much detail, thank you so much. This was really mesmerizing. Now, the question that comes up for most people is that everybody starts from somewhere. Nobody, I think, starts like you, being pushed on the stage or being forced to start a career and just do it, or that's it. But which brings me to my second question, gives even more meaning to my second question, and that is, how did you get here? It's been a long way for you, I'm pretty sure. It's been like, I guess, more than 10, 12 years. So there were hardships. I'm sure there's a very good story behind it, but now you are one of the most successful people I know. So the question is, if you want to summarize it in saying, how you strategize your work to get to where you are today, what would you have to say?
Okay, so yes, there is a ton of learning moments in my journey, especially after we moved to Canada. We landed here in March 2009, and we're hoping that our money follows us, and it didn't. And we found ourselves in a country where I couldn't speak the language, where we didn't have any family or friends or network, and with no money. So I said, you know what, we have a dream. I'm gonna go find a job. And I started writing a resume, and started dropping off one resume after the next, after the next, after the next. But 2009 was right after 2008 recession. A lot of people were out of work. Nobody was hiring. And every day our money was getting smaller and smaller and smaller in their bank accounts. So there was a time in my life that after moving to Canada and trying to go after my dream, I was at the verge of becoming homeless. I actually was 17 days away from becoming homeless when I decided to start my business. And the reality is that I didn't want to start my business because I couldn't even speak the language properly. I didn't have any experience of selling anything in North America. But then it got to the point that if I wouldn't step up and if I wouldn't start my own business, I knew that I am going to be homeless. I'm going to be sleeping on the street. And so that day I started my business. And out of like all the options, I decided to have a web design company. Now, here's one thing that most people don't know. I was really good at marketing online. I had no idea about how to design a website. So I started a web design company without knowing how to design a website. And 3 days later, I found my first client. And every night I started learning how to design a website. So I was working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., trying to find clients and go to networking events and sitting with people, having one-on-one conversations. And at 9 p.m. I would come home, have dinner, and then sit behind YouTube and like Wikipedia and uh, like HTML coding websites and WordPress and stuff like that. I would work till like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. to design the websites that I had sold, and that's how I learned how to design a website. Now, the key is though, like I knew how to do online marketing, just to be very clear. Like I was a really good online marketer. I had no clue how to put together the structure of websites and stuff like that. And, you know, I learned on the job over the next few months, and I was building a successful, not successful, but like the business was paying our bills. And then one day I woke up and I was bleeding internally. I was rushed to the hospital where doctors realized I lost 60% of my blood. And they said, you have lost enough blood that we can't perform a surgery on you to stop the bleeding, because if we open you up, you're going to die. In fact, the fact that you're here right now is weird because you should have a heart attack by this time. Like you don't have enough blood. Like anybody who loses this much blood would have a heart attack. And they said, we're going to give you some blood transfusion and hopefully you are going to survive this. And if you did, then we can open you up and perform a surgery and stop your bleeding. So they could technically connect me to blood transfusion, and they left the room and said, good luck, we'll see you tomorrow morning. And so I found myself on my deathbed, and this is right before my 27th birthday. And as I was lying on my deathbed, I was looking at my wife, and I realized this is probably one of the last moments that I'm seeing her. I was thinking about tomorrow, how people are going to come to my funeral and what they are going to say about me. At that moment, I realized that I lived my life, I was alive, but I never lived it true to my own heart. I never made an impact in the world the way that I wanted to make an impact in the world. I never inspired people the way that I wanted to inspire people. I never did things that were truly, honestly coming from my heart. I always did what the society said it's the best thing to do. And at that point, I felt like I'm a sellout. I'm a sellout to money. Like I did many things in my life that I did them for money as opposed to doing because they were aligned with my heart and what I actually wanted to do. And after they gave me 5 bags of blood transfusion, I started having a little bit of hope that I may survive my deathbed. And I said, okay, what will you do if you survive? if you get lucky and you don't die tonight, what will you do? What will you change in your life? And I said, if I survive my deathbed, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get to the point that I can get on the stage and I can help people change their lives. And that night I decided to use my marketing knowledge to help other coaches, consultants, authors, and speakers to make an impact. Because that night I said, you know what? The next time I'm on my deathbed, I want to know that I've made an impact in the lives of 100 million people. And I can't do that on my own. The only way I can do this is if I can coach 10,000 coaches, consultants, authors, speakers to learn my marketing knowledge and go and implement it in their business so they can make an impact in the lives of 10,000 clients each. And that's what I did. I survived my deathbed, I got out, and I started putting together my content. I didn't have any content ready. So over the next few years, I put together my content. I taught free classes because nobody would buy a class from me. I started hosting seminars and got bigger and bigger, and kind of I was able to get to the point that I could create courses that people would buy. And so I started selling my courses. And long story short, by mid 2014, I was doing 200 live events a year. I was in front of 15,000 people every year. I started having a very large following of people who wanted to make a big impact in people's lives and needed to learn marketing skills to market their knowledge and message and monetize their knowledge and message. And that's how I kind of expanded my business. And in 2014, mid 2014, we went online and I started creating my online courses. And today that we are recording this, I've created over 55 online courses, over 15,000 students in different programs, and yeah, and just known as an entrepreneur who is making an impact in the world. Now, as years passed, I learned that I can separate my values from my businesses, and I started investing on other businesses beside mine, or buying new ones or starting new ones. And so that's what ended up becoming a serial entrepreneur, because I ended up building several companies that all of them are based on the same values, same goals, but they're providing different type of services, and all of them help people to have a better life and help experts to be able to work with more clients through different means, through different tools.
Wow, that was a truly inspirational story. I mean, first of all, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I know that it mustn't be very easy to talk about the past obstacles and issues that happened in your life, but this should be a very good lesson to people like me or many other people who are watching this show today, that no matter where you are, you can actually move towards where you are meant to be. But so thank you so much for sharing that with us. So it brings me to pretty much one of my last questions, because you already gave me all the details I wanted to ask you. And the question is, if you want to give one piece of advice to people who are at the beginning of the road, what would you tell them?
What gets in your way is not the person that you think you are, as the person that you think you aren't. A lot of times people try to work on their vision of who they want to become, who they want to become, who they want to become. But a big part that stops people from taking action is the belief of who they think they are not. You know, Sherlock, last year, out of a case study, I do lots of case studies in my business, in my life. Like, it's just kind of like, I'm kind of crazy in that. Like, I'm like, hey, you know, let's do this. And then it's crazy. And I'm like, ta-da, let's do it, right? I have no fear of failure. I don't think anything is failure except giving up. So I'm more than happy to do things and publicly miserably fail from public's point of view, because to me it's not a failure. To me it's like, hey, we are testing this and we see if it works or not. One of the case studies I did last year was how to build a six-figure business in 47 days from scratch. So I built a six-figure business in 47 days. And it was actually, the case study was how to build a six-figure business in 47 days. And that's what I did. I built a $160,000 business in 7 days, in 47 days, in 47 days. And big part that while I was doing the case study, I was reporting on it every night, on the things I was working on and the process. And a big conversation that came up one night was, why do you think you can do it? And I said, I don't know if I can, but I sure as hell not gonna wait and say I can't. The only way that I know that I can is if I try, like if I do it, if I go for it 100%. One thing I'm 100% sure is that I don't know for the fact that I can't. So if there is 1% chance for me to do it, I am willing to give my 100% to make that 1% happen. And if it didn't, it didn't. Then I say, this time I couldn't. Well, let's try it one more time. Because we learned new things from this. So now I'm a different person. Now I'm a new version of me. So let's try it one more time. So the challenge that I see with many entrepreneurs is that they step back and they say, who do I think I am? Or like they heard this, like people say, who do you think you are? You can do this. And you know my answer to that is simple. The person who is doing it.
Absolutely. That is a very valid point. I really appreciate your advice. This means, at least me as a, let's say one of the entrepreneurs at the beginning of the road, this means a lot to me. This resonates with me quite a lot. And I really want to thank you for sharing that with us. I don't want me to be taking much of your time. So please, Iman Aghay, before we call the halt, please tell me what's going on with your business. What do you have in the oven right now baking? What's happening? What projects are you giving out this coming couple of months?
Are we getting into this?
Briefly.
Okay, so, okay, you know that I'm a serial entrepreneur, and right now that we are recording this, we are at the beginning of the pandemic. It's April, and like the COVID-19 pandemic began about a month ago. So as an entrepreneur, like I always tell people, when people are stressed, it's your responsibility to step up and lead. So that's what I did, obviously, with my own company. So over the past few weeks, we have launched 6 new brands.
Wow.
One of them is a community. Actually, 2 of them are communities for coaches, consultants, authors, and speakers. One is focused only on speakers, and the other one is for all experts. One of them is called Collaboration Circle, and the other one is called Public Speakers Community. So Public Speakers Community at this point has 30 chapters in 3 countries in the world. We started about a month ago. And Collaboration Circle is an online gathering every week for 2 hours of coaches, consultants, authors, and speakers that collaborate with each other. We started another brand called Course Creation Summit, which was a summit of around 30 speakers. And over 1,700 people registered to that one. We did an event, like we're putting together a competition for speakers called Speakers Coliseum, where speakers are going to do impromptu speaking competition with each other. That's going to be super fun. And it's a fun thing just to help people with lifting their spirit. And we have like 3-day events that are coming online and all of those things. It's just when everybody gets scared is the time for you to step up and lead and serve your customers and serve your community with excellence. And so that's kind of few things of new things that come up. Obviously, I have another 55 brands in my company, so that's
Let's
separate.
leave that for later because I'm pretty sure there's a
I
huge
know.
venture that you're taking on. I know about that, but I would like to say thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your story, your background with us. And everyone, if you are a coach, consultant, or speaker who wants to be heard, who thinks they have a message to share with people, Iman is the model to follow. So again, you can visit successstoryacademy.com. And also I will leave the link in the bio. Take a look at that in the comments. And if you ever need help, this man is a person that you want to reach out. Again, Iman Aghay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.